How much for 2?
100 naira, Oga, but if you buy 10, I go give you discount.
Discount? You dey do business or you dey hawk water?
Give me 5 years, sir. And no go be the same thing.
Lagos does not wait for anybody. It moves at its own speed, horns, heat, hawkers weaving between cars like they are reading a language only they understand. Ton was born into that speed. Ajigona, to be specific. A compound with 6 other families, 1 generator that worked when it wanted to, and a mother who sold Accra by 5 a.m. every single day, rain or no rain. By the time Ton was 10, he already understood something most adults spend their whole lives avoiding. Nobody was coming to save him. Not the government, not luck, not prayer alone. If something was going to change, his hands had to change it. He started hawking pure water at 12. Not because it was glamorous. Nothing about balancing a tray of sachet water on your head under Lagos sun is glamorous, but because it was available. No capital needed beyond what his mother could spare for the first bag. Sell it, make a small profit, buy the next bag. Repeat. Every single day. But Ton noticed something the other boys didn't bother to notice. At the end of each day, some sachets came back to him warm, some slightly torn, some completely wasted because they burst in the tray under the heat. He started counting. Quietly, in his head, the way his mother counted her Accra money at night by candlelight. How many sachets wasted this week? How many hawkers on this one stretch of road alone, all buying from different small depots, all paying slightly different prices depending on who they knew? Nobody was coordinating it. Everybody was hustling alone, blind to each other. That was the first idea that planted itself in his head, small and quiet. What if the problem wasn't selling water? What if the problem was how everybody was buying it? He didn't have money to test the idea. He had time, and he had legs. So for almost a year, between selling his own tray, he started walking to different depots across Ajigona and beyond, asking questions boys his age were not supposed to care about. Which depot sold cheapest per bag? Which one delivered late? Which one gave credit if you were short? He wrote nothing down. There was no phone, no notebook that survived Lagos rain. He simply remembered. Numbers stayed in his head like songs. By 15, he had saved enough, from selling, from small errands, from refusing to spend on anything that wasn't necessary, to buy in a slightly bigger quantity than he needed for himself. Not much. Just enough to have 4 bags instead of 1. He didn't sell all for himself. He offered the extra 3 to younger boys on his street, at a price slightly below what they'd pay walking all the way to the depot themselves. Small profit for him, small convenience for them. Nobody got rich from that first week. But nobody had to walk as far either. That was the business, before it had a name. Before Ton even thought of it as a business at all. It grew the way real things grow, slowly, with setbacks nobody puts on a highlight reel. There was the week a man he trusted took his savings, promising to double it through a contact at a depot outside Lagos, and disappeared. Ton didn't cry in front of anyone. He went back to selling trays for almost 2 months straight, rebuilding from nothing, learning the hardest lesson early: never hand your money to someone whose failure cost you more than it cost them. He didn't stop. He couldn't. Stopping wasn't a door that was open to him. By 17, Ton was no longer just supplying 3 or 4 boys. Word moved the way it always moves in tight communities, mouth to mouth, faster than any advertisement. He had a small network of young hawkers across 2 streets who bought their supply through him, at a price fair enough that they kept coming back, and cheap enough that he still made something on every single bag. He started keeping a real system, a school notebook this time, because by then he could afford one and had taught himself enough basic arithmetic beyond what little schooling he'd managed. Who owed what? Who paid on time? Which days demand spiked? Fridays, market days, the height of dry season when everybody was thirsty and irritable in the heat. He was not rich. Not yet. But he was no longer just a boy with a tray. He was becoming the person other boys with trays depended on. By his early 20s, that small notebook system had turned into something with a name, a modest depot of his own, supplying not just his old street but stretching into new areas of Ajigona he'd once only walked through as a customer. He employed people. Boys like he used to be. He paid them promptly, because he remembered exactly what it felt like when someone didn't. The man in the car, the one who scoffed at a discount all those years ago, was long forgotten by Tond. But sometimes, when a new customer laughed at the idea of a hawker building a real supply business, Tond would simply smile the way he did back then. Certain people only understand the hustle once it's already an empire. He never forgot where the money came from: sun, sweat, tray marks pressed into his scalp some evenings, and a mother's akara pan lighting up before sunrise. He built factories in his mind long before he built one in real life, and every naira he earned went back into the thing he believed in before anyone else did. Lagos does not wait for anybody. But sometimes, if you count carefully enough, and refuse to stop long enough, Lagos makes room. They said he was just a water boy. They were right until they weren't. If this story moved you, that's exactly why we tell them. Hit subscribe, drop a like, and join us, because every week, we bring you another true Lagos story, straight from the streets that built it.